I got a call from my mom about 15 minutes ago. I picked it up. We talked back and forth for like a cool 10 minutes when I heard a child's voice in the background. I heard a child's voice and I heard a vase dropping crack. I said, first things first, I don't got no first cousins under the age of 7. And that is how old that motherfucker sounded. If I find out that nigga's crib, and we all know who that nigga is, if I find out that nigga has his children over my fucking house, I'm gonna have to come back home and dig 2 graves. I don't got no problem burying that nigga, but I do have a problem with laying my hands on kids. Don't test me. I said, Mom, who the fuck is that? She said, oh, it's just one of my girlfriend's son. He's staying over here for the night while she at work. And I said, okay, cool, look at you. Pick it up. Pick it up where your friends left off. I knew you was the best friend of your friend group, just like my mom, outdoing herself. But she started doing too much, though. While we on the phone, I started connecting the dots. We don't got no guest room. And then on top of that, we don't got no fucking couch in the living room. So that nigga is definitely sleeping in my bed. And I said, who? I said, whose son is it that's sleeping over at our crib? She said, oh, it's so-and-so's son. I said, so-and-so? That little nigga ain't showered since he was born. And then I'm hearing on the phone, he keep knocking over shit. I'm hearing vases, plates crack on the ground. It better not been my fucking grandma's urn that I'm gonna really have to bury that young boy. She said, no, this little boy, he got ADHD just like you. He can't sit down for a little bit. Mommy used to beat the shit out of me when I couldn't sit down. You need to treat that young boy the same fucking way before I get mad, before I have to come back and beat him. My ADHD was so bad, I brought the 3DS to church. I still prayed. But at the same time, I couldn't focus on what priest and them was saying. My mom used to smack the shit out of me so hard, it used to echo through the whole church. We had high marble ceilings. That shit echoed all the way down to the catacombs below the church. The spirits heard it. You can smack me in front of God, but you can't smack your girlfriend's son? Figures. I knew what type of woman you were when I first met you, and I still think the same.
TikTok live, and a fellow Trump supporter said that all he needed was my vote. I'll never be part of the MAGA fan.
Yes! You left your stitches and duets on. I had to unblock you to make this. I hate to break it to you, my boy, but no matter how many times you try to show that you are one of the good ones, they will never like or accept you because of what you are. It's funny, too, because there are always, like, non-POC conservatives who are always trying to prove that Trump and the MAGA family is not racist at all. But it's like, we know. Like, we're not stupid. You're not trying to prove it to us. You're just trying to prove it to yourself. But I digress. Listen. I need you to hear me, my boy. Trump and all the people that follow him, they'll never like you. And they'll never accept you. However, you have a bunch of them folks on the other side of the fence who are in support of Trump and his party and everything that he wants to do. In your comments telling you that, hey, you don't need to worry about them. Don't worry about him. He's not a representation of all of us. We accept you. We will always accept you. But you have to understand, you can't listen to them. You can't listen to them. No matter how many times them folks on the other side of the fence try to reassure you that you will always have a seat at their table, you can never take their word for it. Why? Because when the leopards come through, and best believe they will come through, they're gonna be hungry. Who you think gonna be on the menu? Cause it damn sure won't be the folks in your comment section. And then to take it a step further, when the leopards do come through to eat, them folks in your comments trying to reassure you that you will always have a seat at their table, I guarantee they won't even lift a single finger to save your black ass.
So I really enjoyed The English Teacher on FX. And I get the controversy that comes with this show when you consider a show like Abbott Elementary, which is a black-led show that has been doing amazing at the Emmys. And then now you have another show that is about education. But I don't feel as though these two shows hit on exactly the same note. A lot of people have compared these two shows in a Living Single Friends type of situation in which a network saw a black-owned show doing well and they wanted to duplicate and copy that. I will say that I do get those sentiments, and y'all know I don't whack Friends time and time again. But when I watch these two shows, I don't feel as though they're the exact same in the way that Friends copped off a Living Single. Both of these shows speak to me on different levels. You have The English Teacher that speaks to me on the level of being an actual English teacher for the past 10 years in a high school setting, and then you have Abbott Elementary that speaks to me on being a black educator in a predominantly black school. To add on to that, the English teacher addresses very hard-hitting issues that we have to address, especially as English teachers. There were certain scenarios in this, and I was like, oh my goodness, is this my life? Because these parents can be ridiculous when it comes to queer individuals teaching their children. Not only that, but there was a storyline within this show where cis hetero presenting individuals were critiqued and criticized because it was like a spirit week or it was homecoming or whatever the case may be. And then they were going to dress up in like powder puff, or they were going to present as female or women presenting. And this is something that I've actually made a TikTok video about, because it's unfair to the LGBTQ students who show up like this every day and they get criticized for it. And I love that this show talked about it. And they went above and beyond and had Drag Race alum legend Trixie Mattel come on this show as a guest star and educate these students on why this is an issue and a problem and how to fix it. They did such a great job here.
Very special friend of mine. This is Shazam. Hello, my little babies. Hello. Hi, Shazam. Hi. So Shazam was the queen of drag back in college, and now she has a long-running show in Austin called Woman of La Mancha.
That actually got canceled. The show is now called Drink Ticket Tuesday.
And seeing Trixie play this role and react to these kids in real life reminded me of when I had an actual living legend, Giselle Barbie Royale, come to my classroom and speak to my students on her experience as being a trans individual and a drag queen. Like, it was full circle for me, and I cried real tears because this is something that English teachers have actually experienced. It was chef's kiss. In the finale of episode 2, I was brought to tears because I was able to see some of the work I was trying to do play out on the big screen, and I was brought into tears. So please let me know if y'all have seen this series, English Teacher on FX. Let me know how y'all feel, and if not, please make sure you check it out. I can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments.
So you're angry at Palestine protesters post-election cycle, and you announce that you head to McDonald's and Starbucks and you don't give a damn anymore. But boycotting these companies isn't just about Palestine. It's about not supporting brands that profit from modern day slavery and do so at the expense of Black people around the world and even in this country. Let's take a look at McDonald's, for instance. Right now in states like Alabama, McDonald's is profiting from prison labor. Incarcerated people, mainly Black people, are taken from overcrowded, brutal prisons to fast food kitchens where they're forced to work for next to nothing. If they refuse, they face punishment, lose visitation rights, or even get their sentences extended. And even the little bit of pennies that they do make, it gets slashed with the prison systems taking a chunk for themselves. This isn't just something that is unfair. It's slavery with a new name that's built on the backs of Black people and hidden behind the golden arches. And then you got Starbucks, which claims to use ethically sourced chocolate. But according to humanrights.org, the truth is that some of that cocoa comes from West Africa, where Black children are forced to work on cocoa plantations. Yes, plantations, missing out on school and facing dangerous conditions. These kids should be learning, playing, and dreaming, but instead they're trapped in a cycle of exploitation so Starbucks can turn a profit and you can have your drink. But going back to McDonald's and Starbucks, you're not just sticking it to the protesters. You're actively choosing to support companies that exploit Black people as well, both here at home and overseas. It's not just incarcerated Black people forced to flip burgers as Black children halfway across the world slaving in dangerous plantations so Starbucks can sell more chocolate fraps. Okay? And I know that some of you guys are going to say, oh, you don't have a right to tell me how to feel, blah, 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 blah. I'm not telling you how to feel. I'm just informing you that the choices you are making and kikiing and laughing about affect Black people all over the country. But honestly, I'm not expecting to change the hearts and minds of y'all because, like my friend says, you cannot reason someone out of a position that they didn't reason themselves into to begin with. But I will say, breaking the boycott isn't a gotcha to Palestinians who, being real, shouldn't even be the target of this hate, but it's a betrayal to Black people around the world and in the United States. So I guess I just want to ask y'all,
I'm going to give a couple rapid fire takes and I will not be further elaborating in the comments, so discuss amongst yourselves. But the difference in reactions to the LA fires versus the hurricanes in Western North Carolina is what creates Republicans. People in the South have been constantly disregarded, and I will never forget how you guys reacted to people literally freezing to death in their homes in Texas. I'm not saying that it's a good thing, and I'm not saying that it's okay that it continuously becomes a tit for tat thing, but people remember how you made them feel. People remember how you laughed and mocked and judged them for however they voted, and then as they went through probably the worst experience of their life, fucking mock them. That really has an impact on how people vote. In a similar vein, I think it is very, very interesting, this conversation about how it's not left versus right, it's up versus down. I think a lot of you who say that are lazy thinkers. If you think that white supremacy, bigotry, and the violence of the Republican and the Democratic Party has no play whatsoever on how people make their decisions, how people are in their day-to-day lives, you are being delusional. It can never just be up versus down if we as the working class do not actually combat violence when it comes to bigotry. I also think it's very weird how many of your reactions to Show was to feel like you were let down or somebody lied to you. Show is a fucking CEO. I have never trusted any CEO. And I think honestly it has to do with the fact that a lot of you have like this infantilization of Asian people and don't actually see Asian people as human beings. You see them as like, I don't know, like fucking like children, and it's very weird. Asian people are adults. Asian people make various forms of decisions. Asian people have various forms of ideologies. And also, in a similar vein, it kind of goes to show why so many of you thought that China was this like poor, destitute country where nobody was able to do anything. Your intense fear of communism and socialism is for a reason. And the government is playing you like a fucking fiddle. In another similar vein, the reaction to Nelly and Rick Ross and Snoop Dogg performing at Trump's like whatever inauguration and people being genuinely shocked is hilarious to me. They chose class solidarity. And I'm not trying to say necessarily that I believe all artists and performers are not a part of the working class, but I do think that this should be a very telling tale to people that they are more willing to align with the upper 1% than they are to align with working class individuals. They chose class solidarity. What are you going to choose? And also, very, very similar vein. Hey, capitalism. The number of people who disregard SWers, the unhoused, and people who are incarcerated is always going to be very hilarious to me. They are the canaries in the coal mines. They do feel the impacts of the system more than anybody else. This also includes people who are disabled. And as we continue to disregard the most marginalized amongst us, know that as they inflict all of their forms of violence and hatred, and when I say they, I mean the American government, on these groups of people, it is only a matter of time before it fucking becomes you. I also think it's really interesting how many of you genuinely hate leftists. And like, I can understand that leftists are annoying, and I can also understand that people feel like leftist messaging isn't there. But that isn't enough to dissuade you from actual major political parties. So I find it very interesting that it's enough to dissuade you from like leftism. There's a number of people who will say things like leftists are racist because they allow white leftists to talk over black people in general. And I find that this is a problem that is just existing on the left. White people take the advantage of discord and of situations to talk over others. And instead of us having a genuine conversation about calling white people in and saying to white people that you have to stop engaging in conversations where you do not have the depth or the range or the understanding to actually hold meaningful and non-hurtful conversations, we have turned this into a black leftist versus a black liberal conversation. And I think we are all doing ourselves a very great disservice when we do that. I also think that the fear of political ideologies outside of capitalism and specifically outside of conservatism and liberalism is very purposeful. There is a reason why those ideologies are allowed to exist, and it means nothing good for the rest of us. Also, I think that many people don't want to wake up. And I think that's fair. Honestly, I think it's terrifying once you do. But if you actually are going to throw around words like class consciousness, actually embody those ideas and what those beliefs mean, or shut the fuck up. Because a lot of you are weaponizing language that you have no idea what it means, and it's fucking weird. Here are my final rapid fire thoughts. A lot of you have bought into American exceptionalism, and it has had you delusional for years. And I'm not going to shame or judge people who take time to understand new information and get to new points in their life and try to genuinely grow as a human being. That is never going to be the people that I judge. But the number of you who are, again, actively pushing anti-intellectualism is a problem. And you have pushed it to the point where people actually believe you. And when it comes to the year of 2025, that's very interesting. I also find it kind of funny, the number of people who are saying that they are going to like sit aside and like not engage any further and they're over this. Like, that's funny because it's like, that's just not how the system works. You can say you're not going to engage. You can say that you're not going to do anything or talk about any of these things, and that's fine. But at a certain point, it comes for all of us if it hasn't already, and it will continue to over and over again. Because that is the way the American system works. It does not allow you to disengage.
I see your fetishization is rooted in the hypermasculinization of the black man. And I raise you the fetishization of hypermasculinity is rooted in the masculinization of the black woman. So for this example, we're going to use Miss Mamas, who's a nurse, and she is dating the hypermasculine bum. How did this happen? We live in a society, and as a society, we associate certain traits with masculinity. Some of those traits include being responsible, being driven, being loyal, being ambitious, being orderly, being structured. We associate these are masculine traits. When in actuality, everybody has masculine and feminine traits. The problem that we're running into, we've gone a step further and they've associated those things with gender. People have now gone ahead and started associating masculine traits with men. So society has done a really horrible job at masculinizing the black woman who is independent. And in actuality, she's just being an adult. She's being responsible for herself. She's being responsible for her livelihood. She's behaving the way that an adult should, but we've gone ahead and we've done this terrible thing where we've associated that with being masculine. And this terrible thing that has happened almost exclusively to black women. You think about a Tommy Lauren, who is a political pundit, who would have had to have exhibited all of those traits: the desire to be successful, ambition, responsibility, loyalty, all of these things, but you would not associate her with being masculine. But that's what we did to the black woman. The very same traits that other people are celebrated for, black women are demonized for. And thus we are seeing a sharp overcorrection. You're telling this person, this group, that you're masculine, and so they're seeking out the stereotype of hyper-masculinity to offset their quote-unquote perceived masculinity. And so this is your bum, who will fly off at the handle, who makes her feel safe because my man won't let anybody disrespect me, because that's what we specifically have associated masculinity with: being loud, being brash, being pop-offish, you know. And this works really, really well in the club. When a man pushes you or pulls something and your man is with you and he doesn't have that, you know, he beats him into a pulp. That's my man, my man, my man, my man. The problem is this particular brand of masculinity is very inflexible and it doesn't work everywhere. While it may work in the club or, you know, in a pop-off type situation, not every situation requires a hammer. How well does that masculinity translate over when you're trying to get a mortgage for a house, or you have to get to your child's doctor's appointment? When you need someone reliable, when you need someone responsible, when you need someone who's going to show up for you, when you need someone to be there for you instead of take your car and leave you stranded while you're at work. So there needs to be a rebrand of masculinity in our community. We've done a terrible thing and we've associated masculinity with the spreading of your seed to as many women as possible without any responsibility to the lives that you're creating. We need to unearth lack of attraction to healthy masculinity, because this same woman would probably encounter healthy masculinity and be like, oh, I'm not attracted to that, he's too soft, but he would be there for you. He would never leave you stranded. He would put you first. And so the bigger question to be had is, how do we get the purveyors of healthy masculinity onto the podcasts? Though to keep it a buck, they probably don't have any time for podcasts because they're out being the guy. They're being the guy. They're not looking like the guy, they're being the guy. How do we get them front and center and give them a voice and allow and watch them lead by example? So how do we rebrand that? How do we undo that? And I think the answer is the same thing in my previous video: vulnerability. And so, dear black woman, you're not masculine because you're responsible. You don't have to settle for a stereotypical form of hypermasculinity because you're a responsible adult. That hypermasculine person who's flying off at the handle can only protect you so much before he's behind bars. Long game here. We're trying to play the long game. And so if you're someone who finds yourself repeatedly attracted to people who aren't good for you, perhaps it's time to unpack that. So I'm gonna do a little digging. And contrary to popular belief, you can change your type. You can change what you're attracted to. If you do the work, you'll get to the point where what you used to be attracted to no longer appeals to you. It'll give you the ick. 2025, I need my girls to be having the ick. You need the ick from irresponsible, hypermasculine, abusive behavior for yourself and the partners that you choose.
I am not pro-black, and here's why. Pro-blackness is an extremely flawed concept. Pro-blackness is rife with colorism and ableism and homophobia. And in pro-black spaces, this is never acknowledged. Pro-blackness is also rife with misogynoir. And I've seen conversations happening about pro-blackness recently, about how you cannot be pro-black and date outside of your race. If you believe that, that's fair. I'm not trying to convince you to change your beliefs. But I personally am more weary of pro-black people in pro-black spaces because I've been in those spaces and I know those people and they are colorist and ableist and homophobic. Pro-blackness is what is keeping a lot of black women stuck. If you are a race loyalist, that is perfectly okay. Pro-blackness is also rife with respectability politics. I saw a video from a black male creator just recently, and he mentioned the fact that a lot of pro-black creators are dating outside of their race. I'm gonna stop you there. A lot of us do not consider ourselves pro-black creators. Me personally, I am pro-black woman, which means that I prioritize the health and well-being of black women. I love black women and I center black women in my advocacy and elsewhere. But I've lived on this earth for 33 years. And you know what I know? Many of you want what white people have. You want the power. You want the control. Pro-black should be a space for all black people, but it isn't. It is a space for able-bodied, cishet black men. If you consider yourself pro-black, I'm not here to step on your toes. Kudos to you. Until pro-black spaces become spaces for all black people, then I won't be in those spaces. Black women, date who you want. That shit is crazy.
If a trans man is attractive and you find out, and we see this with Lath Ashley all the time, right? Like Lath Ashley will pop up on the scene every couple of years. People who don't know him or have not been introduced to him be like, damn, he fine. And then they find out that he's trans. And all the women in the comments are like, oh, okay, I might need to get me a trans man. Da 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 da, cool, da da da. When you have that same thing happen with trans women, not only I think do men beat themselves up, but then there is a wave that we don't talk about because they get upset when we say it. But like women, cis women will also then, if men who are in the comments like, well, fuck it, like she's beautiful, will come under and attack those men specifically. They look for the men in the comments being honest, even though in other comments it's like, oh, just be honest about who you are. But then when they are, it's like, oh, y'all niggas be gay, y'all da 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 da, this, that, and the third. And I think that what a lot of people fail to realize is that the access to vagina for men who like vagina is paramount in a way that they don't understand.
And that's the reason why we gotta go back to what you said, right? Though I agree, you feel me? Just because you find somebody attractive don't mean you want to take them home. Being somebody that is really indoctrinated by heteronormativity and patriarchy, I understand that most men gonna think about it as like a sexual conquistador. You are fine, therefore I want to sex you. I think you are attractive, therefore I want to give you some of this dick. So if you walk down the street and they find you fine, now it's like a part of the process now is being like, fine, now I dick you down. So now understanding that you feel like, now I feel tricked. And just recognizing that it's something that's a prerequisite before even thinking about attractability is I think that a lot of us cisgender men have very unhealthy ways that we actualize attraction and a lot of unhealthy ways that we go about obtaining. And even using the word obtain, but it's just like literally you want to obtain what you're attracted to, and you found her attractive, and now you feel like obtaining her is going against taboo.
The word that I want to add in, that's my consciously line. The word I want to add into the conversation is fetishization. Cis men, gay or straight, fetishize everything because we see things visually first. So as much as you say that you didn't say straight, but I'm just gonna assume you're speaking about straight people. Straight people do that. Gay people do that all the time.
I was gonna say that.
We do that because we fetishize big dicks and fat asses and big backs and broad shoulders and all the things, but long before we and bald heads and beards, because y'all can't tell me that they ain't nouveau riche right now. But we fetishize all these things long before we ever see the whole person. And then the irony is that is in gay culture, we call that attraction.
Enough! God, every other video is just, well, where we going next, y'all? Or, it's been real. I didn't know it was o'clock. Fight for something in your punk life. God, I feel like Edna Mode out this bitch. Y'all over here getting me emotional all night with your thank you videos. Stand up, damn it. We don't have to let them do this. First and foremost, we all need to get on one accord because somehow people are on different pages. The app isn't getting banned because we shook our hips too hard. The organizing, the coalescing, the crowdfunding. This app has to be second to YouTube in terms of most money I've ever seen raised. Elites have lost the court of public opinion and they've lost control over the narrative. Okay, knowledge. There are people who, rightfully so, have expressed that they've learned more on this app than some schools they've attended. Real, unfiltered, unbiased news, access to global events in real time before mainstream media can even get a hold of it and spin their narrative and show us what they want before we get to see it. A ban has nothing to do with national security, it has nothing to do with protecting your attention span, and it has nothing to do with protecting the kids, and everything to do with control. Well, what are we supposed to do about it? There's so much you can do. Flood this comment section, flood any comment section with information on which VPNs to use so those who can afford one can get one. Download your data from this app. You can do it in settings, creator or non-creator, but for creators, it's best to be proactive. Diversify your platforms. Download Blue Sky. I'm doing that right after I make this video. Also download Lemonade, regardless of how you feel about the app, okay? There's already so much misinformation about it going around. The whole point is they are trying to stop community from being built unless it's on an app controlled by Meta. That fugly Joe Biden can bring his leathery ass down here and pry the app off my corpse if he really about it. Ain't no reason for me to get on here screaming and crying about it. Me and my VPN will be taking a trip down to the UK, okay? And I'll be making sure that everyone who can will be doing the same thing as well. Oh, but won't posting be illegal? The FBI go knock on your door. Well, the FBI ain't never met a real nigga. How about that? They can knock. Let's really see what they teach them bitches in FBI fighting school. Let's see what they got then. I ain't letting them take my community from me. I like y'all or whatever. Maybe this is one of the most confidence boosting, greatest things to ever happen to me or whatever. As shy as I am, maybe every time I see someone I truly admire acknowledge my existence and decide to become my mutual, it warms my icy heart. And they don't get to take that from me before I've even gotten started, okay? I'm not going anywhere. You know what? In fact, I'm gonna start posting more than I ever have. How about that? I am tired of this government taking everything from me. Every time I look up, it's something new. Maybe that man from earlier this week was onto something. Sometimes I think the capitalist class secretly wants to speedrun the end of itself. The networking that takes place on this app, the amount of small businesses on this app, 80% of creators use this app to supplement living expenses that wouldn't get paid otherwise. Most of us don't even do it full time. The amount of Americans that would be out of work or homeless if this thing actually got banned. The amount of nonprofits. Whether or not you choose to see it this way, not only is it a huge infringement on our First Amendment rights, this is technically firing millions of Americans, and I doubt they plan to let millions of people go on unemployment. The economy will feel something like this, and what do you think happens in this day and age when you back that many people into a corner? My point is, even if the app does get banned, it really doesn't have to be forever, okay? You're not fighting for a hip dancing app. They are scared of this app for a reason. Don't let them have it. Stop talking about Instagram. And in the meantime, for creators, if you're a real nigga like me, keep posting with that VPN. And if they come knocking, let them bitches knock. They plan to send us to concentration camps anyway. At least you can have a funny reason for being there. Diversify. Okay, after I post this, I'm gonna go make a Blue Sky. Same with the Triangle app, okay? I know that Bink's been in my Lio forever now, but I don't really have a choice, you know? So now I'm gonna hop on that as well. There are people who would love to see me in other places. I gotta show up for y'all. But that's it for talking about other apps, okay? Because I'm not going anywhere. I'm a real nigga. They're gonna have to pry this shit off my corpse. I like y'all, and I like this. You know, it's really good for my autism. God, I never really got to show out, you know what I mean? But it's mostly the ADHD. But fuck it. Daily posts from now on. I don't give a fuck. And if you're someone who works in Congress, you're a fucking bitch. God, I hate being from this shithole country. And I don't like seeing my mutuals cry on my FYP. God, the people who did this, they think we're stupid. Don't let them be right.
To the girl that said that when you're dating, you have to treat it like you have $10,000 to give away instead of looking for $10,000, you're a genius. Love you. You're amazing. best advice I've ever heard. So tonight I went out just to grab a little drinky drink before I went and did my grocery shopping and prep for the week. And I was surveying the land as one does, and I was like, who do I want to give $10,000 to? And it's something specific about that amount too, because as I was looking, I mean, the answer was nobody. Everybody there was like a Gen Z, and I like my men grown, right? But I was thinking and looking around, I was like, no, wouldn't give him $10,000. Wouldn't give him. I might give him like 5,000, but the full 10, no. Like, it's a game changer. So shout out to you, girl, because it really makes you think, like, do I really want this? Do I really want to go through the process of either getting or receiving this person's attention? Or is it just that, like, I'm bored and I'm just giving my number out, which I don't, right? And I don't think most women do. I don't think we just give out our number just to give it out. But my point is, there are some people that I may have given my number to that, like, I wouldn't have given them the full 10K. They were just a 5K-er, right? So I really love that idea. Shout out to her. If I find her again, I'll tag her. So again, the principle is, when you are out somewhere, you are looking for someone to give $10,000 to. You're not looking for someone to give you $10,000, because that mindset of giving you $10,000 puts you in a place of like, oh, I need this thing, right? I need it. It puts you in a mode of like desperation, which I don't think I ever was, but like that gear shift of like, oh, I have money, I have something valuable to give. Who do I want to give this to? Who's going to steward this well? I just love the mindset that it put me in. So y'all use it. Shout out to her and let me know how it goes.
So fuck how you feel, homie. We all know that red pill content creates incel. We all know this shit. This is not something that's hidden under a rock. We all know that a lot of men who ingest that red pill bullshit are incels. And for the people that keep telling me that red pill was not intended for this, the original red pill was not like this, please shut the fuck up. Doesn't matter what it was intended to be. Look at what it is now. Look at what it's done. You understand what I'm saying? Look how these men are emotionally unstable. They're dangerous. You can't have a conversation with these red pill demons without them being triggered by something. They're always triggered by something on the internet. They're in these comments arguing with these women. They see a random girl. You know what I'm saying? In the comments, if she looks too pretty, if she's half dressed, whatever, they're in the comments arguing. Nobody's gonna want you in 10 years. Just triggered by shit. Something is wrong with them. And then the older men, like the older men that's like mid 30s, late 40s, 50s, something is completely wrong with them. There's so many of them in that space. You know what I'm saying? So many men that have really taken on this red pill and it has really destroyed y'all. Y'all are fucked up. And then y'all are hypocrites, because y'all are the ones paying for the OF models. Y'all are the ones buying hoes. Y'all are the ones buying sex. It is you guys. But for a group of men that just don't like promiscuous activity, y'all don't fuck with that shit at all. Y'all sure do fund that shit so much. Y'all put a lot of your hard-earned money into that industry. Y'all idolize women way too much. Your whole movement as far as red pill, from when it started to now, I don't give a fuck, has been about women. It has been about women since the beginning, because lame ass motherfuckers couldn't get them. So it's been the same thing. And the reason why it's so funny is because it still ain't working. The method that the red pill motherfuckers came up with is still not working. If you fuck with some of the shit they saying, you're a cornball. If you're red pill adjacent, you're a cornball. If you just happen to be in red pill spaces, you're a cornball. Doesn't matter. The shit just is not player at all. That's why, like, the shit just don't make sense. So for all you motherfuckers who really want to glow up, like, you got to get out those red pill spaces. They are fucking up your mind.
So let me get this one straight, because ain't no bloody way. Over 100 boys, not men, boys, were assaulted, right, at a summer Christian camp. Over 100 boys. Let me say it again, run it back. Over 100 boys, right, were assaulted at a summer Christian camp. Christian camp run by the Church of England, right? The Archbishop, right, has had to step down because an investigation found out that he knew about every single case and actively tried to cover it up, right? Stay with me. course, he's facing zero consequences for his actions, right? But that's not the part that got me. Let me tell you what got me. You would think, right, that there would be outrage, there would be anger. Boys, over 100, summer Christian camp, assault. There should be anger. No. No one cares. Everyone just carried on with their day. But I'll tell you what has angered the British, right? I will tell you what's got everybody in an uproar. Around the same time that the news of this broke, Boots have just released their Christmas advert, and in their Christmas advert they have decided that they want Mrs. Claus to play a black woman. Nothing more to it. Simple advert. The entire country's in an uproar. How dare they? How dare they? Mrs. Claus is supposed to be white. I'm guaranteed, guys, this isn't me being dramatic. I'm telling you, this is literally what's happening. Everyone is fuming, angry, and you would think, of both of those two situations, which one deserves more of our attention? Maybe I'm dramatic. Maybe. You know, I'm just going to leave it there.
To garner attention and care for Sudan. I don't know how to prove our humanity to people. I don't know how to prove that we're worthy of saving as much as anyone else.
Omnia has been saying this for quite some time. And if you don't know who Omnia is, it's the woman that was just in the video. She has been talking about how Sudan has been pushed off to the side, has been ignored countless times for over a year now. Not only just her, but countless other Sudanese people that are trying their hardest to bring attention to the terrible things that are the daily life of the people that are in Sudan right now. They just simply don't want to die. There's nothing wrong with wanting people to speak up for you and to speak out for your people, because y'all don't know if y'all are going to make it to the next hour, let alone the next day. All they want people to do is to bring attention, to pay attention, and to stop ignoring what it is that the Sudanese people are facing every single day. I understand that there's certain people that don't know what's going on in Sudan, so I implore you to go do the research to actually figure out what is going on in Sudan, so that if you do choose to use your voice to speak up for the Sudanese people, you have an understanding of what's actually taking place. I understand at the same time that people will come to the information when they come to the information, but people are dying. They are dying in the most gruesome, terrible, horrendous, in ways that we can't even fathom right now. And it's not even only just about death, because personally, there's certain things that are worse than just death. The daily life of what it is that the Sudanese people are experiencing, they're being starved, barely being able to walk. They can't even go outside without hearing gunshots. It's war, missiles, terror. That's what it is. The constant daily bombings of hospitals where people are literally being operated on, that are full to maximum capacity, by the way. There are rooftops falling in on them while they're receiving operations because they're being bombed every single day. Constant looting, the constant breaking into people's homes and turning their homes into torture chambers, the constant doing what they do to certain people in front of their families. This is the daily life of people in Sudan. Sudanese people have been going through an extreme, what some people would say, civil war right now. There's nothing civil about it. And then on top of that, I don't even want to say they just recently passed their anniversary, because the connotation that comes with anniversary is something that's normally seen as positive. But they just recently passed their anniversary of when the war actually started, and there's nothing positive about what the people have been facing on a daily basis. Terrible things that the Sudanese people face on a day-to-day basis is something that the world really needs to stop ignoring, because us ignoring it doesn't mean that it's going away. People ignoring it does not mean that it's somehow getting better. It being ignored actually makes it worse. There are children that are dying. There are women that are dying. There are men that are dying. There are people that possibly don't even identify as a gender that are dying. There are people dying right now. The only thing that the Sudanese people are asking us to do is to bring attention to it. They're not asking you to only make videos. If you're somebody that's an introvert, they're not only asking you to go out and start throwing tomatoes at gold connoisseurs. They're not asking you to do things like that. They're asking you to like, they're asking you to share, they're asking you to comment, they're asking you to interact in any type of way to push the message out to somebody that's going to push the message out for them if you're not one of those people that's going to use your voice to push the message out. People are literally taking themselves out because they cannot face what it is that their daily life is consisting of. People are literally killing themselves in huge, large quantities because they don't want to be sexually abused. There's little girls that are having babies because they have been sexually abused by RSF soldiers. They're literally committing mass suicides just to avoid the sexual abuse and other abuses that come with being in Sudan right now, that comes with being in Sudan yesterday, last week, the day before, and it still continues. The only thing that the Sudanese people want is for what is happening to them to stop. And one of the ways that that is going to come to pass is if the people stop ignoring what's going on in Sudan. And with the on and off telecommunication services going out, and then the RSF being trigger happy when that happens because the Sudanese people can't reach the rest of the world.
Remember old dude from 2019? Nice clean nigga did me dirtier than laundry. Took a scroll through his IG just to get a DM from his wifey. What the fuck? I was so confused. What should she do? She didn't know about me and I didn't know about Sue. I opened up the messages and had to hit the zoom. Turns out the girl was really a dude. Nigga think he slick back till I slip back. Got my lick back, turned a nigga to a knick-knack. I moved on, dropped a couple of songs, and then I went and got signed. Now it's 2021.
Hey! Okay, I just feel like this is the perfect opportunity for us just to unpack what's happened here. I mean, you said that this guy cheated on you?
Nah, fuck it. Platinum record this, viral record that. I'm making so much money, I'm all over the net. I'm moving so fast, no time to process. And no, I'm not in the game, but I'm always on set. Wristwatch, drip, drop, label on the TikTok. Now I'm making TikTok music, what the fuck? I need a cleanse, need a detox, but we ain't got time to stop. The charts need us. Fast forward me, 2023. I'm stacking lots of cheese and making money. My grass is really green and honestly, I can't even fucking count no more. It's a really dark time for me. I'm going through a lot.
By a lot, you mean drugs?
I wouldn't.
Drugs?
No, it's a natural plan.
I'm not judging.
I don't think.
I'm just saying.
I'm not an addict.
You want to talk about it?
I mean, fuck. I like pills. I like drugs. I like getting money. I like strippers. I like to fuck. I like day drinking and day parties in Hollywood. I like doing Hollywood shit. It probably would. What can I say? Shit works. It feels good, and my self-worth's at an all-time low.
Luigi Mangione is a disabled man who suffered with a chronic debilitating illness, and he finally had enough. For years, Luigi battled a painful spinal condition that only worsened after a surfing accident in 2022. Despite undergoing back surgery, his pain persisted, accompanied by intermittent numbness and limitations on his mobility. The physical agony took a toll on his mental health, compounded by earlier struggles with Lyme disease and brain fog that disrupted his college years. In online posts, Luigi described his condition as life-halting and lamented how misunderstood chronic pain sufferers often feel. Friends noted how he grew more reclusive over time, with one describing his silence as heartbreaking. According to The Guardian, his family reported him missing on November 18, a few months after he went MIA post-back surgery. Luigi grew up in a privileged Baltimore family, excelling academically at the prestigious Gilman School and later graduating from the University of Pennsylvania with dual degrees in computer science and mathematics. Friends and classmates describe him as charismatic and highly intelligent, someone who could light up a room. He comes from a prominent and wealthy family based in Baltimore, Maryland. His family has built a local real estate empire, including nursing home facilities and 2 country clubs in the Baltimore suburbs. The Mangione family's success in real estate has made them well-known figures in the area, and their financial stability has afforded Luigi many opportunities. Luigi's family has publicly expressed their shock and devastation over his arrest, with his cousin, Maryland State Delegate Nino Mangione, releasing a statement offering prayers for all involved. His social media reflected a life of curiosity and ambition. He shared his passion for books, weightlifting, and technology, even founding a video game development club in college. His social media accounts appear to have been completely wiped and deleted. Authorities have suggested that frustration with the healthcare system may have been a motive. United Healthcare, where Thompson was CEO, has been widely criticized for its high claim denial rates. Reports show that the company denies approximately 1 in 5 claims, sometimes 1 in 3 claims, leaving many patients without access to essential care. Luigi, whose surgeries and treatments may have been affected by similar denials, possibly viewed Thompson as a symbol of corporate neglect. Luigi was arrested and had a 3D printed pistol, a suppressor, and a manifesto. He allegedly claimed the thousands of dollars in his backpack were for living expenses, contradicting police suspicions that he was planning to flee. During the court hearing, Mangione mostly remained silent, but he did speak out to dispute the prosecutor's claims. They had suggested that the $10,000 in cash in his bag, which supposedly had the ability to block cell phone signals, indicated that he was involved in a sophisticated criminal planning. He says, "I'd like to clarify 2 things." According to CNN, first, I have no idea where that money came from. It might have been planted. And second, that bag was waterproof. So I'm not sure about this talk of criminal sophistication. Luigi is currently detained at the Blair County Jail in Pennsylvania, awaiting extradition to New York City. During his first court appearance, he appeared calm, but declined to answer questions about any of the pending charges. Luigi Mangione is facing several serious charges as of Tuesday in connection with the murder of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. He has been charged with first-degree murder, accused of intentionally and premeditatedly killing Brian Thompson. Investigators also allege that Luigi was part of a conspiracy to commit murder, playing a role in planning and executing the crime. This story is breaking with new updates expected, and I'll keep you guys updated as they come.
Every single winter, my timeline is filled with videos about looks, about how to lose 20 pounds in a month, weight loss, glowing up, looks maxing, water fasting, how I went from a 5 to a 10. But in reality, your physical appearance should be the least interesting and the least important thing about you. The other night, I was talking to my mom and I said, "Oh, I'm no great beauty, and my appearance is the least interesting thing about me." And this was obviously met with contention, with her saying, "Do you really think that about yourself? And you're gorgeous, why would you say that? But what if I'm not? And so what if I'm not?" Saying that my appearance isn't interesting does not mean I'm ugly, because Satan himself couldn't call me ugly. It's just about learning to exist outside of the beauty standard and outside of the obsession with beauty, and learning to love yourself enough to show up as you are instead of as a performance. I spent all of my childhood chasing after the idea of being beautiful and hating myself because I didn't look like other girls or the women I saw on TV, or thinking that my classmates were more beautiful than me. But now that I'm older, so what if other girls are prettier than me? And so what if I'm ugly? My appearance has nothing to do with who I am as a person. So many young women find themselves in this losing game of chasing after a beauty standard that they'll never fit. Beauty is constantly shifting, and trying to chase every trend, trying to fit this beauty standard is a losing game, and you will find yourself as an older woman and you won't even know who you are. You won't even know what you look like or how to love yourself, because you lose your humanity and your personhood chasing after and obsessing over beauty. But when you allow yourself to exist outside of this game and allow yourself to exist as who you are and stop performing, you allow yourself to exist again. You allow yourself to be a person again. And you allow more important things about you to shine through, such as your hobbies, your skills, and just simply who you are instead of your appearance. I understand being a woman, you will always be a thing to society. But when you let all of this go, you stop being a thing to yourself and you allow yourself to exist to yourself. And this is the ultimate form of self-love, to let go of all this and accept yourself for who you are, instead of putting thousands of dollars into your appearance, into makeup, into changing all these things. You accept yourself. We shouldn't have 18-year-olds getting lip fillers or dying on operating tables, or 13-year-olds spending hundreds of dollars on skincare and makeup to be beautiful. And we definitely shouldn't have women in comment sections making fun of each other because someone doesn't know how to do makeup at 25. When we allow ourselves to let all of this go, this idea of beauty and the idea of we need makeup or this, that, and the fourth to be attractive, or just attractability in general, is when we allow ourselves to exist to ourselves and to the others around us, especially other women.
we can't have true sisterhood and friendship if we consistently allow beauty to control our lives, our relationships, and our ideas of self and each other. We can only exist if we let all of this go and we only treat our personalities and who we are in our cores as the most important thing. But that's how I feel. Just seeing influencers make millions of dollars on makeup and seeing how much makeup has blown up and just beauty spaces. I just think we have to let all of this go if we actually want change and want to have happy and fulfilling lives. We have to let all of this go because this is just another form of self-harm, and I'd even call it self-flagellation. It's just hurting yourself at the end of the day and hurting young women and hurting just the women around you. So maybe I'm too woke, but this is just how I feel.
You've ignored and deleted all of my comments underneath your video to the extent to now that you've actually blocked me. And so now I'm going to make a video about it because you're not going to A, silence me, or B, try to deflect responsibility from the damage that you've done to a young black woman. So this is a direct call out video to Box Lunch, since you guys are actively refusing to take any sort of responsibility or accountability by releasing any sort of a statement about what you did to Dominique Brown. Like, I'm actually appalled that you're actually trying to throw this under the rug as if someone didn't just die. For context, I'm sure everyone's already heard the story, but Dominique Brown was her name, and she was 34 years of age, and she was a Disney influencer, and she was invited by Box Lunch to this Christmas food party. Now, she had an allergic reaction, and I don't know about you, but it should be mandatory. It should be an expectation. In fact, it should be your responsibility as a food company to have people at the very least on deck in case this type of things happen, in case an allergic reaction or something of that nature is to take place. That is the very basic regulatory procedures that you should have in place as a company, a food company that's actively involving influencers from across the world to an event. And from my knowledge, I'm pretty sure that you guys didn't even do the very basics in asking the fellow influencers that you had at your event. You didn't even ask them if they had any sort of allergic reaction or anything of that nature. I think that's actually insane. You should do the very basics and not cut corners, especially if it could mean life or death, which was unfortunately the case of Dominique Brown. So everybody, let's go leave a lovely little comment at Box Lunch and have them make an actual statement instead of deflecting accountability like they have been. Okay? Because that's not what I'm going to stand for. Not me. And I pray to God that the whole world hears what you've done and the negligence that you and your team have done so that a young person has died ruthlessly and avoidably, and you are still refusing to make a statement about it.
What's up, everybody? Navi Robbins here. And I've been getting a lot of inboxes and tags on some images that were inspired by my original artwork. Sometimes I told you so just ain't enough. And you know, on my Erykah Badu shit, I am sensitive about my shit, so I ain't gonna hold you. You know, at times I feel a certain way, but at the same time, I did in fact place my original artwork on the internet, a public forum, to share with others, because I didn't create it to monetize it. I created it because I was feeling away. November 6th, I was feeling away. And I just started drawing. I started drawing. The image popped into my head, and I initially was like, you know, I could put black men and black women on the roof, you know, solidarity, unity, the black community, and to watch it. That was the initial design idea. But then I thought about it. Black women did everything that they could. 92%. It's astonishing numbers, especially when you're looking at 100 days. Got 92% of black women to come out and vote for VP Harris. So it felt right. It felt good within me to put black women on that roof, sipping tea, because they are, in fact, the most tired, the most disappointed. Because, you know, in this country, patriarchy and misogyny rules the day. So for the most part, a lot of men feel like although she did lose the election, as a man, you're going to be all right. For black women, not so much. There are so many unanswered questions, so many dark horizons that could possibly happen to women, or black women in particular, that I can understand why the election of, or the re-election of Donald Trump can be an extremely problematic and stressful situation. So it just felt right for me to put and to honor black women in that way. And it felt good. When I was done with it, it felt amazing. I kept staring at it, and when I animated it as well, it just completed the circle. But I see the tags, and I see the image. It's not a direct replication of my image. It is an inspirational, inspired by my image, by the idea of my image. The original image is, in fact, copywritten. But I get it. And again, this is what happens on the internet. But I was compelled to share it and not keep it to myself. And when I shared it initially, like I said, it wasn't monetized. And then when black women were reaching out to me and saying, I need this on my wall, I need this on a shirt, I need this on a hoodie, I oblige, and I thank you. I thank you again. Orders are shipping out. You should be getting your tracking numbers. And anyone who has responded to me, they will tell you that I responded to them immediately to let them know the status of their orders. So you have nothing to worry about. These orders are legit. They are going out. There are actually some people that have actually received their orders already. Again, allow 7 to 10 business days. I still have a lot of stock left. I'm actually buying some for myself. But if you are in fact inclined to support me and to support this artwork so that you can have it in your homes or to share it with other people, family members, there is a 10% off deal going on right now. You use the coupon code SAVE10, there's 10, and you can get 10% off your order. Thank you again for the tags. I appreciate you. And let's try to get this art working into many homes as possible. It is a part of the business. Again, the original image is in fact copywritten, and I'm working on some more artwork, but the merch and things that I've had to create from it, I want to thank you for the support. I want to thank you for the orders. And thank you again. I appreciate the love. It makes creating more artwork meaningful when people can connect with you through art, through expression. So thank you. Love you. Peace.
They paint this man to be a horrible person. Of course they are, because he's a modern day freedom fighter. I mean, he's really in the field. And Chris wanted to interview him a day before he left, and Barbecue told him he's not able to interview.
Look, no hate to you as the creator of this video, but I have to tag you because this is important and I don't want anybody to send hate to this creator. Also, I don't mind when people who are not Haitian talk about Haiti, because I genuinely believe the more we talk about Haiti, the more we are able to understand, the better information that we can receive to fight the propaganda and misunderstandings that's going on towards my people, towards my home country. And while I understand that this was the attempt for this woman right here, this is a very dangerous narrative. Long story short, Barbecue is not who you perceive him to be or who he's trying to make you think that he is. He is not a freedom fighter or the Jean-Jacques Dessalines reincarnation in our country. He is a ferocious gang leader hell-bent on being the next freedom fighter, but he's not. Okay, he's not a good man. And if you don't believe me, who's living comfortably in America, I need you to look at the actual Haitian citizens in the country. There's a violent surge in the increase of crimes against civilians in the country, and that involves murder, that involves rape, that involves kidnapping, that involves all of that. And these acts are being perpetrated by gangs. Gangs also controlled by Barbecue. This is not some kind of liberation like you think it looks like. The gangs are taking over the country, taking their piece in corners of the goods and resources, hogging it to themselves, much like politicians do. They're just doing it more savagely, more ruthlessly, and more. While I understand you are trying to target how America often perceives Haiti to be, America's lying to you guys about who Barbecues really is. You know who's not lying? The Haitian civilians. I understand that he's very charismatic, and in that interview you really felt like he cared about the people. But speak to any of the handful remaining families that are hiding away in Port-au-Prince if he really cares about them. Please, stop sharing this.
I don't like having ideas that I can't back up with reason, so I finally figured out why I don't just love wearing like a poster girl's dress or any type of lingerie to like family friendly establishments. So walk with me. It's not that I think people shouldn't be able to wear what they want, because I'm not going to fight you on it. But I'm tired of us acting like clothing doesn't communicate something. Because it does, and that's okay. It's supposed to. Like, clothes aren't just clothes, and that doesn't change just because you want to dress in a mature way. Especially when we don't do the work to make sure that it's just clothes. Like, we don't work to decriminalize S-work or make sure that it's any safer. We don't teach, like, intimacy in schools in a way that is safe, much less well-rounded, much less positive. We don't even do, like, body positivity. Like, y'all just want to dress like that because you like how your body looks, it makes you feel hot, desirable, whatever, what have you, and that's fine, except time and place. That's not because I'm trying to be uptight about anything, but it's because we live in a society and it has its impact, and I can think of two. One is that adults should be able to communicate adult things with other adults, even in non-verbal ways, and when we blur the lines, we start to take that ability away. Bodies are neutral, but sometimes we do things to take them out of that neutral state, and that's okay. Wearing poster girl dresses or other types of lingerie is one of them. Being able to communicate adult themes, ideas, messages, what have you with each other is important, and we don't just want to take that away by making these just like day clothes. But two, and more importantly, the people who are now receiving these adult messages are minors, people who cannot consent, who also are not developmentally ready to be a part of that conversation. Like, young kids are just learning that their private parts are private, and they need to learn that. It helps keep them safe. That gets a little undermined when they can see your nip-noops and your cheeks on full display at the dinner table. But it also introduces adult themes before they're ready. We understand that we can dress how we want and then put up boundaries around that. But teenagers who are really impressionable have a harder time doing that. And young kids don't understand what's going on almost at all. And as they grow up, we need to help take care of them. And part of that is dressing in appropriate ways when going to family-friendly places. Like, people should be able to wear whatever they want and be safe. And that includes being able to be buck booty naked on the sidewalk. That being said, you should not be buck booty naked on the sidewalk because you live in a society with other people. And again, where would y'all want to the club? You're grown. We're grown. But the whole let people do what they want, mind your own business thing gets a little bit trickier when you're wearing actual see-through lingerie-esque clothing out to family-friendly establishments, you know?
Glinda and Alphaba's relationship is an allegory for how white liberal feminism has failed Black women. And they're also gay. In this essay, I will. From start to finish, Wicked is an allegory about how white liberal feminism has failed Black women. Let me explain. From the moment Elphaba arrives at Shiz, everyone ostracizes her because of her skin color, but especially Glinda. But it's not just the fact that Elphaba is green that makes Glinda loathe her so much. It's also the fact that Elphaba does not follow the rules of the social hierarchy at Shiz. She doesn't respect the fact that Glinda is the queen bee. This could be looked at as Black women threatening the racial hierarchy that white women have above them. For example, even in the musical itself, when they are writing their letters to home, she says that her roommate is peculiar, and she, Elphaba, says that her roommate is blonde. But how do Elphaba and Glinda become friends? Well, because Elphaba shares some of her power with Glinda, which is something that Glinda values so highly. She wants to have social power, and Elphaba gives that to her by making sure that she also is trained to become a witch. And of course, in the scene Popular, Glinda returns the favor by helping Elphaba by giving her some of her power. Her power is her beauty. Much like liberal feminism, which is focused on choice feminism and women becoming equal to men by their own merit, by their own success under capitalism, she is trying to use her understanding of social power to help Elphaba. And of course, the most important part that really drives this home is defying gravity. In defying gravity, she says, why couldn't you just be calm for once? Why did you have to fly off the handle? Minimizing the importance of what had just happened to Elphaba. Because Elphaba responds with, you grovel in submission to feed your own ambition, which is a strike at white women in the way that they are submitting to men in their understanding of power. They want to be powerful next to a man, but not supersede the man's power. And Defying Gravity, of course, is that musical number that proves that Elphaba is stepping into her own power outside of the constraints of gravity, which are the social structures that hold her down. Racism, anti-blackness, misogynoir, right? As for the sapphic undertones, I feel like it need not even be stated that their relationship is very queer. Even when she wraps the shawl around her, it is very loving. She loves Elphaba. They love each other. However, her love for Elphaba does not supersede her need to succeed and to be loved by others, much like white women's understanding of power coming from the validation they get from men and people around them. This is why we actually do need to sit down and hold space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity, because even in the lines, I hope you're happy, I hope you're happy now, I hope you get it and don't live to regret it, they sing to each other. Elphaba's saying to Glinda that she hopes she's happy submitting to the powers that be. And Glinda says to Alfie, I hope you're happy becoming a villain for stepping into your power. Is that not an allegory for the way that Black women and white women perceive power structures, feminism? It's right in your face, you know?
We listen and we don't judge. So when I was organizing your closet, I found your OBO journal, and I read the first page.
Why would you read
We listen and we don't judge.
Sometimes when you send me 900 memes, I just fast forward to the last 5 seconds and I put the laughing emoji.
Why would you
listen
no pause?
And we no, we listen.
But you respond to an individual. Okay, well, sorry. We listen and we don't judge. Okay, so sometimes when we're shopping and you pick up something before me, but I really like it, and I don't know if it's in my size or not yet, and you'll put it on, I'll be like, I don't know how I feel about it, because I don't know if it has my size, and I might want it for myself.
I think that's really low.
We listen and
that is really low.
we listen.
Because
we listen and we don't judge.
You know how you're really proud of the tuna that you made me?
Swear to God, I'm not.
Listen.
Go ahead.
It was good the first time. And then every time after I kind of hyped it up.
I have told all my friends that I only know how to make one thing, and that's.
No, I'm not saying that.
You know what? It's cool. We just listen and we just don't judge. That's it.
No, for real, go.
That was crazy to see all that. Okay, sorry. Okay, remember when you gave me that Gucci bracelet? Ooh. And I returned it. I don't even remember why I told you. I said I just didn't like it. It wasn't my style. What did I say?
You said you didn't like it.
Oh, okay, no, that was true.
That still stings. You said that for real, and that wasn't even a. I'm judging of that one for real. We listen and we don't judge. You didn't say it. That means you gonna judge.
I'm skeptical.
Okay, say it with me though.
Okay.
We listen and we don't judge. You remember that one? You remember that one time when you had gave me a bunch of clothes and you had gave me curtains to the clothes were to take to the Goodwill, and then the curtains was to hang up in the dining room. And one day I was cleaning up and I forgot that it was clothes to take to the Goodwill, and I threw the clothes in the trash. And I threw the curtains in the trash, but I told you that I took it to the Goodwill, and I told you that the curtains didn't work in the dining room.
Wait, and did I give you that rug too? Because what happened to the rug?
The rug went in the trash. We listen and we don't.
Because I was like, I know I gave him this rug. I know I'm not losing my mind.
I just think about it and told you that.
Okay. We listen and we don't judge.
Because still, why would you?
We listen and we don't judge. You know how I say your farts don't stink?
No, I'm dead about to go though because it's the fact that you sell. Like, it's fine if they do, but the fact that you sell that much.
In the beginning, they didn't stink. As of late, they've been kind of doing what they need to do.
Ooh. It's the fact that you like
something.
This might not make the cut, but you know how like you like for me to smell your farts, right? And it's like you know, and I get it. It's like a bonding thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes I pretend like I'm smelling it, and I close my door, and
I swear I knew that.
Like I did it this.
I know you did. Cause I was like, sometimes you be like acting real shocked. I'm like, you don't.
Don't mind me, I'm in my friend's car waiting for a job interview. And I'm just thinking, like, every time we talk about Lil RT and the shit that he be doing on the internet, and we're all in agreement how it's a problem and that shit needs to be shut the fuck down, and every adult that be behind any project or any video that this little boy be participating in where he's doing something overtly sexual and explicit and just way too grown for his little ass age, we're all in agreement, like, these people need to be arrested. That little boy needs to be taken out of their hands. This shit needs to be stopped immediately, right? I hate how every time we talk about it, there's always a group of motherfuckers just dumb as hell. Like, they literally will be dumb as fuck, coming out the woodworks with their excuses because they don't care. And they're wondering why we care. You know what I'm saying? We'll be discussing the songs that Lil RT makes, the 20v1 videos, all that bullshit that this little boy will literally be in the club getting twerked on by grown-ass women. And we're sitting here in agreement that it's a problem. But then here come them dumb motherfuckers out the woodworks. He getting money, though. I don't see the issue. Why y'all hating on him? He getting money, though. I block those people. I don't even have discussions with them. I block them so fast. Even if it's not even my video that they're commenting that dumb shit under, I will block you so quickly. And then the other dumb excuse that I hear is, I don't get why y'all overreacting like this. Y'all act like we wasn't saying worse when we was kids. Even if we was saying shit like this when we were children, your bitch ass knew not to say that around your mama. You knew not to say that around the adults because you would have got your ass whooped. Because you knew not to be saying that shit any fucking way. That doesn't mean that it's okay. Like, that doesn't make it cool. There is no reason why a 10-year-old should be talking about nothing in the bitch throat. Word for word. There is no reason why a 10-year-old little boy should be in the club getting twerked on in the VIP section. There is no reason why a little boy should be sexualized in a 20v1. Like, what the fuck are you talking? Oh, yeah, and one more excuse I be hearing is, man, y'all tripping. If I was Lil RT, I'd love to be where he at. Girl, shut the fuck up, you stupid motherfucker.
See that it wasn't being used in any racial context. You live in South Florida. You grew up in South Florida.
Hi, Issa. I spent 18 of the most unfortunate years of my life in Florida being bullied by people who would call me that exact word. And I can be the first one to tell you that your decision of what context you say the N-word in does not matter, because it does not take away from the historical connotation that has already been built by the racism that you perpetuated by using that word. Yes. You do not have the ability to remove the N-word from its foundational racial context or historical context just by deciding one day, you know what, guys? It's nice when why would you be the one who decides that? Also, you surrounding yourself with people who are okay with you saying the N-word is not the same as the entire demographic of South Florida, including the black people actually affected by that word, being okay with it. Because I guarantee you, we send it to the school, we send it to their colleges. The schools might not do much, but we care. It is offensive. It is hurtful. It is distasteful. It is disgraceful. It is disgusting. It is extremely disgusting. And what's even sadder is that you're making excuses about it now. The amount of racial abuse, harassment, and discrimination that myself and all of my black friends, literally every single one, have faced collectively throughout our entire formative years following us into adulthood is insurmountable. Like, it is only continued by the thought process that you are promoting by saying that. Like, by saying that you just didn't know, I didn't know any better. We were young enough to experience it, so you were old enough to know better. Okay? All right. Thank you. Toodles. Love.
And another thing, while I'm sitting here drinking this energy drink at 3 a.m. Piggybacking off my last video, when it comes to the administration that just rolled in, it is very important that you shed that liberalism that you might have going on. If not for anything, for the fact that liberals have never fought Nazis. That's not a thing. They just give leftists a hard time. And you don't fight Nazis with liberals. They're not gonna do anything. And for all that talk that I was saying about China in that last video, because everyone's just arguing it in the comments now. What I said was it's important now more than ever for you to open your mind to new ideals, new ideologies, new philosophies. You don't have to be a communist, although you'd be surprised to learn how many of you already agree with that philosophy. You just don't know what it is. But you don't have to agree with everything to take pieces of those philosophies. Look, stick with me. Some titles you might be familiar with, right? Leninism, Marxism. Some people call themselves Marxist-Leninists. The Black Panthers, DSL, PSA. These are all just different subsects of socialism. They all just take slightly different approaches to it. It's almost as if you never had to agree with everything any philosopher says at all times to identify with that philosophy or uphold those beliefs. Half of y'all liberal as fuck, but from what you say, you don't support the Palestinian genocide. You don't agree with the criminalization of homelessness happening in mostly blue states. You don't agree with everything that comes out of your favorite politician's mouth. So why is it that everyone else has to always agree with everything some random government halfway across the world does at all times? But you get to pick and choose. I wouldn't even call the Chinese government communist. I never called them communists. They have a lot of communist foundations, which is great. But they got a lot of weird shit going on. It's diet socialism at best. It's just far better than anything we have going on here. My point is, a lot of the problems that we have are only problems because of billionaires. Look at the infrastructure in that place. Look at the way that they live. Look at their housing situations. Look at the beauty. Look at their food. Look at their education. Look at their quality of life. We just don't fucking have that, man. We don't have that here. Not right now. And we're not gonna have it for a long time because of what's coming. Just educate yourself. There's a reason Republicans, alt-righters, Nazis and shit participate in book burning. There's a reason they don't like education. There's a reason they will fight tooth and nail, put in any policies that they can to keep you as far away from information as possible. You don't have to have physical books. You can read PDFs for all I care. Just please educate yourself on this stuff. It's gonna save lives. It can save your life.
If you're from the DMV, you've definitely grown up seeing this symbol and can easily recall the slur of a team name associated with it. But can you name any of the actual native peoples of the DMV area? I'll give you a few seconds. Time's up. If you couldn't do it, it might have been easier than you think. There are Native American names all around us. For example, if you would have said the Potomac or the Chesapeake, you would have been in the right direction because in addition to being the names of local areas, those are also the names of 2 tribes in Virginia. But today we're going to talk about the original inhabitants of the nation's capital, specifically the Anacostan indigenous people from where we derived the word Anacostia, and I've brought someone to help out.
I'm Armand Leone, director of the DC Native History Project. I've put together a book, The Native American History of Washington, D.C. Algonquin-speaking indigenous people have occupied this land for thousands of years. The earliest colonial record we have is a map that was made by John Smith where the Anacostans are mislabeled as the Nacotchtank.
The Anacostans were a relatively small tribe who were part of the larger Piscataway Nation. In the late 1600s, the chief of the Anacostans and his village were pushed out by colonizers who were hungry for land to grow tobacco. They moved north and merged with other tribes, and ever since, their history in D.C. has been extremely under-discussed.
Like when Dana Hedgepath, a Native American reporter at the Washington Post, asked a curator at the National Museum of American Indians why they don't tell the story of the natives of D.C. The curator said, "We focus on living people, not the Anacostans who have been absorbed into other tribes." In other words, because the story of the Anacostans is told mainly through archaeological records, they are not mentioned currently in any of the exhibits at the museum or online.
But if anything, I think this means that we should learn and share as much as possible regarding what we do know so that everyone in DC and the entire country knows who long stewarded the land that we now know as our nation's capital. But did you know about the Anacostans, and do you want more videos about the Anacostan people? Let me know in the comments and follow for more.
So that was a Trump rally, right?
Like, I just want to make sure I'm not tweaking. Like, that was supposed to be a Trump rally. You bring in a Puerto Rican woman who is one of the most acclaimed boxers in history. She fights like hell, and you give the win by 1 point after making a deduction to a white woman who cheated. And she's Irish, and I love Ireland. But if you've ever been to Boston, you know the Irish flag has been twisted to carry a very different connotation in certain places. And then for the main event, you have a 27-year-old YouTuber with a very well-defined fan base fighting a 58-year-old, and not just any 58-year-old, a 58-year-old that was boxing professionally 12 years before the other guy was even born. One of the most legendary boxers of all time who also has a history of sexual violence. Like, it fits the narrative of what the whole event was about. It's like Tyson was embodying this image of the black brute, some old warship that was being towed off, or a beast that was in its final days. Like, it was dehumanized, an affirmation of moral bankruptcy on several counts, and an opportunity to subconsciously reinforce a bunch of terrible stereotypes. It was literally that scene in Doom where Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen is supposed to fight all of those wounded Atreides generals as a way to like whip up nationalistic fervor on Arrakis or whatever. Not Arrakis, the other planet. Like, we're in a historical moment where we're just ripping sci-fi scripts or copy-pasting the 20th century. And this guy lives in Puerto Rico, bro. He has people in his corner with Make America Healthy Again hats. This dude moved to Puerto Rico for tax reasons. And it all takes place in Texas, certified by the Texas Athletic. It's just branded red state, red state. Like, Texas is dope, but like, there's a reason. There were so many micro and macro aggressions I clocked, it's hard to keep track of all of them. But I think what really struck me overall was that it felt like a metaphor for the cheapening of and self-consumption of America, and like the narratives that America has been running on for the previous century. It felt like how people think that Nashville is still a music city, and they go to Nashville because they want a piece of Americana and country music culture, just to find that it's all just a facade, kind of like a Vegas of the East Coast, where people go to try and get in touch with something that has been gone for a long, long time.
My video is transphobic. As much as y'all want to defend me, I understand that y'all love me, okay? I understand that y'all don't want to see your girl take an L, but your bitch got to take an L for the one time. I got to take it to the chin. Because what the fuck I said was wrong, y'all. I got to look. We just going to have to face the motherfucking facts, okay? What I said of my video, even though my intentions behind my video was not malicious, even though my intentions was not to harm anybody or get anybody harmed, my intentions was I was concerned and I don't want to see somebody lose their life. And a lot of people did not understand that. So they used my video to justify violence towards transgender women. They used my video to justify being transphobic. And if I don't really see myself, because I know my heart, if I don't really see myself as transphobic, then I have to be able to understand that my actions were transphobic. My heart is not transphobic. And in order to overcome this thing, I have to come to terms with it. I did name somebody because I said their government name. I did not even know what dead name it was. And the issue is, it's not that people are purposely trying to be transphobic. People just don't know certain things. Didn't know what dead name it was. I did not call anybody a slur. My video after it was removed was clipped to make it seem like I said a slur. And at the end of the day, I can't do nothing about that. Now, do I feel like I should kill myself behind this issue? Absolutely not. I did misgender somebody. As much hate as I feel like I had towards that person, at the end of the day, I shouldn't have let them get up under my skin enough for me to disrespect my supporters that I have that unfortunately are in the same group as them. Even though I don't like them, I still got to respect my people. I still got to let my people know that what I did was wrong, because it was. I was definitely on the defense because I don't like the way that people get on here and they say certain shit, especially because I knew my intentions. So somebody did understand that, like, sometimes it's just about the way that you tell somebody something so that they can receive the education that you're trying to give. Because you calling me a fat black bitch and telling me that I should do this, that, and the third while trying to educate me, it's not going to educate me, and I'm damn sure not going to listen to you. But somebody did call me and they said, hey, no, this is wrong because of this. And you need to understand that. Because if you care about people, you need to understand that what you said was wrong. And what I said was wrong. And I do feel bad. And I'm going to have to take my L. And even though it's a whole nother, some other bullshit that's going on right now that got me getting hate from men that's nothing to even do with this shit, what I said was wrong. And it is what it is. I'm going to grow from this situation. And if people don't want to engage with me because of this situation, I have to take that shit to the head.
Y'all know those characters that are like, no, I will never kill. I refuse to take another being's life. Those types. You know, I too enjoy those characters. The whole refusing to kill no matter how bad the person is, you're just not going to cross that line. I get it. You know, I understand. Sometimes, not really. But you see, I respect that decision because killing is objectively bad. In most contexts, it is. You know, that's not a bad take. Those characters are so funny to me because why do they do people the dirtiest? The way they do these villains, it's worse than death. They'll sit here and act like murder, bad, you know, like killing is just the #1 sin for them, and it's understandable, but at the same time, dog, I think getting your back literally blown out is pretty up there. I don't know. You won't kill, but you'll be the villain, black and blue, then proceed to throw them through 6 brick wall buildings. I don't know. I think that's kind of worse than that. This isn't saying that they don't deserve the beatdown, but drawing the line at killing after you just dropped a car on their head, you might as well finish the job. I would absolutely hate to be a villain in a story where the hero refuses to kill because that beatdown, you are about to see numbers on hospital bills that you didn't even know existed. Like, could you imagine? You just finished getting thrown through 8 different buildings, getting blasted every which way. The hero picked up a train as if it were a bat, hit you with it. Now you're in the hospital. You just got out of a 6-week coma. You can no longer see. You can't walk again. You have to get 3 more spinal surgeries. Then on top of that, you have to go to court so they can put you in prison for life. Hell nah. Y'all know I love Deku with my whole heart and soul. That is my guy. That is my goat. But his whole thing with Shigaraki would have me giggling sometimes because he would be like, I want to save you. Save him. Can't sit here and say that the beatdown Shigaraki received from Deku weren't deserved because he did try to up one on the homies multiple times. With that being said, if I were Shigaraki and Deku was on some, I want to save you, I just need to reach you and save you. Save me? Hell fuck no, stay away from me. Matter of fact, I'm getting a restraining order because you gotta be the worst therapist of all time. You just used all 7 corks on my ass tenfold and now you're talking about saving me? No, bruh. Put me out of my misery today, right now. The extra time skip MHA chapter had me in tears because why were Deku and all of his friends chasing a villain who stole a car? 20 heroes for a carjacking? That's 20 separate beatdowns. That's 20 separate corks on one person, bro. Do that man a favor. Show him some mercy and just send him straight to Ronald Reagan.
Forgive me for being a little bit emotional on here. I had a very traumatic experience flying back to the DMV after being home for Thanksgiving. I got a broken headrest. The cover to my controller is missing, so it's hard for me to drive my chair now. Also, when I was I had a connecting flight, so I was in Atlanta. I had asked the people who was helping me if they were able to transport me safely to the aisle chair from my seat because I had been dropped when I was heading home for Thanksgiving. So yeah, when I was at that airport, 2 people had dropped me, and that resulted in me having a bruise on my bottom and also being in pain. I didn't want to make a big deal about it because I know with me being disabled, if I'm in pain, it intensifies even more because of my disability and my disease. So I try not to make a big deal about it. I was just thinking like, hey, just be on a heating pad and take medicines. Everything's going to be okay. So when I asked them, because I even explained like I've been dropped, they had an attitude with me, making me feel like I was a problem. So I try not to let that get to me. So then I found out about my headrest in Atlanta. So then when I got to DCA, that's when I found out about the cover to my controller. And then when I tried to make a report about it, the person who was helping me wouldn't take me to the baggage service. They just took me to baggage claim, and then I asked them could they wait until my Uber got there, because anybody who live in DC know that when you order accessible Uber, it takes like forever to get there. And the person that tried to wait, he dropped my stuff off. He took me outside, so I'm thinking, okay, he just showed me where we need to go, and he dropped my stuff off and was like, okay, have a good night. And I know some people are going to say, well, he's not obligated. But, like, I just needed help. And I just feel like, and I know people see me as strong. I know they see me as an advocate. I know to some people I'm an inspiration. But I'm so broken right now, and I don't know what else to say. Because as a disabled person, it gets so overwhelming, it gets so tiresome. Having to always fight for everything. Like, traveling home and traveling back should not even be this hard. Like, it really shouldn't be this hard. Just experiencing life shouldn't be this hard, but it is because of ableism. And people just think that by not being ableist, it's just not saying the R word or just being nice or whatever. And it's so much more than that. Like, I'm affected every day of my life. I have to fight every day of my life just to exist in a world that reminds me that my existence is never important. And I think this is just me breaking down, because I don't usually break down when it comes to disabled related things, but this hurts because now I gotta fight again so my chair can get fixed, and I gotta make sure I'm okay, and I'm not okay.
I opened up this app today to see an onslaught of white lesbians, yes, specifically white ones, and that is important, talking about how there's never going to be a lesbian Jew. Are you, including yourself, do you not know any other white lesbian to tackle bigotry? Like, that's embarrassing. Did you not think before you pressed record? Like, one thing white men are really good at doing is shooting themselves in the foot and then saying that someone else held the gun. Like, did you plug the microphone in and go, oh my God, the speakers aren't working, babe? Did the speakers not work, or did you just not have anything to say so no one heard anything? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you not a lesbian? Can you not tackle bigotry? Like, what's the thought process here? Like, did you stand in front of a mirror and practice that before you press record and post? If so, what did you see in the mirror? Was it yourself? If not, maybe your mirror is broken. Maybe you're dead. Maybe you're soulless. I don't know. That's like a crazy thing to think about. But I'm just sitting here like, you seem embarrassing. Like, you seem like you're embarrassing yourself, because notice how it's only the white one saying this. Because God forbid a larger bodied, brown, indigenous, Samoan, mind you, person stands up for like people in general. But yet I think y'all only see her as like the loudmouth brown who only talks about how they hate men. Even if that was the case, what are you doing? Okay, that's what I thought. But you have a splendid day, Diva. And sometimes I sit here and I pray for the day that me, Drew, and Dayson, lesbian sister, by the way, can get together, press that little red button, hit record, and just unleash something into the internet that will make you just throw up all over the floor. And I'll hand you a mop, and I will sit here and watch you cleaning yourself, and I'll giggle. The three of us will giggle, we'll kiki, we'll have a nice little glass of wine, and go about our day. So maybe say a prayer, meditate, alhamdulillah if you need to, and just, and okay? All right.
Christianity does more than teach people about God. It teaches people about power. And the reason that black people cling to Christianity is because many black people have never had a positive image, a healthy image of power dynamics. So a narcissistic God, a God that has seemingly only created you to fulfill his own personal ego, a God that will punish you for eternity, for 70 years living on earth, for 20 years living on earth, for 50 years living on earth. That makes sense to you because black people historically have been forced to understand themselves and the world around them through rigid power dynamics. To be a good Christian, under Western contemporary definition, it requires you to ignore a degree of the abusive and narcissistic relationship that God has with you. It teaches you to have no boundaries, no rebuttal, no criticism for your governance. It teaches you to have an exclusionary understanding of power where you believe that power is only concentrated in one area. What it also teaches you is to view power, your agency to change and impact the world around you, as something that does not belong to you. As long as you are willing to be ignorant of that fundamental premise, you can be a Christian in the West. And that same ignorance, that same hierarchical understanding of humanity is only practice for you to understand white supremacy. It's only practice for you to understand homophobia. It's only practice for you to understand misogyny. It's only practice for you to understand transphobia. How else do we understand God? We understand God through his power, but we also understand God through his love. And if you've ever been to a black church and if you've ever been to a white church, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those two groups generally understand God's power and love very differently. Black people often understand God through his wrath, through his ego, through his narcissism, through his punishment. But oftentimes, white people understand God through his patience, through his grace, through his understanding, generally. But why does that discrepancy exist? Because, say it with me now, Christianity has been a tool for indoctrination. Since the conception of this country, conquistadors, colonizers have used Christianity not to only change your beliefs, but to change your values, to change how you view not only the world around you, but yourself and what you deserve. If we're going to hold white supremacy accountable, if we're going to hold colonialism accountable, if we're going to hold imperialism accountable, if we're going to hold any ism accountable, we cannot ignore Christianity. Peace out.
Hey everyone, this is Bassant from Gaza, surviving the day 14 after 400 of the genocide. It's the second winter during the genocide. Everything is escalating and nearly nothing is becoming better at all. I used to love winter. I mean, why to not love winter? Come on. You have hot meals, you have your own delicious soup, and the gathering of the family in the rainy days and the vacation. You're sitting at home because it's cold. Do you remember these days? Yeah, you're living them. But do we remember these days? Now why to love winter? It has been raining since yesterday. Only since yesterday, for 2 days now, okay? And people are cold. People do not have any places to go to. I read that 10,000 tents were destroyed yesterday because it's winter. The sea level is higher and people are living in the shore, in the beach, and 10,000 tents were destroyed because of the waves. As simple as this. Of course, talking about tents themselves, it's so cold, it's freezing. Tents do not protect. We're not camping, you know? It's not a hike. We're gonna camp here in a tent in the cold for 1, 2, 7 nights. People have been living in this for more than a year, okay? So tents are worn, mattress, blankets, clothes, everything is worn. Last year, it was the day 40 of the genocide. I left the north of Gaza Strip. It was not winter yet, so I left with really light clothes, yani shirts and t-shirts. And here I put this. Okay. Let me show you. This is a traditional coat called abaya. We call it abaya. It's for men. Well, anyways, it's warm. That was last year. People still had shops, markets, maybe places to produce blankets or anything like can protect people, you know? But now everything is destroyed. No markets, no shops, no products entering Gaza, no clothes, no fabric to make blankets or clothes. And all these people, 85% of the Gaza population are displaced without anything. And they're living in tents, worn tarps. No tents entered, not enough tarps or nylon entered. So people are living like literally without anything. You cannot find the supplies you need to survive in Gaza. You cannot find, for example, coal instead of wood, because both were consumed. خلاص, for a year. People are using wood or coal for heat, for cooking, for everything, and now no more. So people have no choices literally, except sitting like this. If they're lucky enough, like me, I'm the luckiest. If they are lucky to have something to sit like this and to wait the end of the genocide, or maybe, I don't know, a miracle, or summer, or put on some fire, yani for a short time, then sleep, then go to sleep. And they cannot even preserve the heat, yani. We're living in tents. People are living either in tents or the rubble of their homes, no ceilings to protect them. And it has been raining since yesterday, yani even now. So, I don't know. Wallah, I don't know what to do. I don't know what, yani, I don't know. I feel that I'm so lucky that I bought this last year. خلاص. It's warm. But what about all of these people? 1.9 million people. What about them? Living in the cold and under this zannana, this drone, and even the bombing. This is the bombing that happened when I was recording. It was so loud. It was close. Alhamdulillah for everything. Alhamdulillah for surviving this. It's really terrifying just to think, only to think, that this is not ending yet and we don't know when it is ending. And the drone is getting closer because it's cloudy. So, you know, it's closer.
Hi guys, I need your help, please. I don't know what else to do. I am struggling to get on the FYP. I need your help, and I'm gonna be completely honest. In this video, things are getting difficult. It's getting so much harder to fundraise. It's getting so much harder to get people to see my videos, and I cannot get on the algorithm unless you help me. So please watch this video to the end. My team and I are trying to fundraise 10,000 so that we can continue to do the work that we've already been doing on the ground in Africa. To do this, we decided that we're going to do a 72-hour live, a non-stop live, and we have currently been live for 50 hours now. We are nowhere near the goal. It's been a lot of time, a lot of unrest, a lot of mental dedication, a lot of mental work that has gone into this, and the app is making it extremely difficult to fundraise. I am heavily shadow banned. I don't know what else to do. I have tried everything. I have asked all of my creator friends to make videos on it. All of their videos have been shadow banned. I have reposted everybody's videos. I have added all their videos to my stories. I have made videos of my own. I have done everything that I can think of, but there's nothing more that I can do unless you help me. I don't know how many of these videos I can make. I'll keep making them, but please just help me. Please, I would really love to get to this goal, especially during this holiday season where I know that people want to give. We are currently in the season of giving, but I'm not able to reach people. So please help me. You can donate through the link tree, the first link in my bio that says Marathon Live. If you tap on Marathon Live, it will take you to the fundraiser. Please donate there. Donate as much as you can. Please, stitch, duets, repost, add to stories, send as a direct message to your family and friends. Please leave a comment. Please do something. I'm begging you. All safe hands on deck.
It's like, these motherfuckers is gay. I admit, and I realize they're homosocials, not homosexuals. When I
Social dominance theory. Does he actually like you, or is he just secretly in love with the boys? Shockingly enough, there actually is a term for this, and it is homosociality. Psychologists like Eve Sedgwick coined the term homosociality to describe men prioritizing male approval. And guess what their favorite prop is? You. It is of no surprise that we live in a patriarchal society, and this is where the social dominance theory comes in. Psychologists like Sedanius and Pareto explain that men often compete for status and hierarchies. In many cases, you're the symbol of their success. It's not about building a connection with you. It's about showing you off to other men as proof of their dominance. Maslow taught us that humans crave belonging and esteem. But here's the thing. A lot of men get that need of belonging fulfilled by their friend group, not their partner. That's why you may feel like sometimes the approval of their friend group matters more than your actual feelings. It's not just you imagining it. This is literally how their needs are structured. Sedgwick also coined the term homosocial desire. It's when men form deep bonds with other men and channel their energy into gaining male approval. Women often get caught in the crossfire, used as props to reinforce these bonds. This isn't just academic, it's happening everywhere. Let's not forget Freud, the father of psychoanalysis. Freud argued that some men never fully detach from the need for paternal validation. When there is a lack of a paternal figure, or a lack of action in that paternal figure, fatherless, as a substitute for that authority, which means that your approval comes secondary to the boys, which means that he technically is playing for the wrong team, figuratively speaking, if he's more concerned about the validation of his boys rather than yours. Fact of the matter is, this is amplified in the Western world, where individualism and melting pot culture means less structure around traditional gender roles. It's why things like frat culture, hookups, and flexing on social media exist. All that behavior is about competing for social clout amongst other men. Now let's contrast this with other faiths that emphasize structure and community. In Islam, men are taught to see women as a trust, as an amana. Women are more seen as a responsibility to protect, not show off. The best of you are those who are best to their women. Notice how the focus is on care and respect, not male competition. And just because I'm saying that this is not common amongst traditional Muslim communities does not mean that Muslim men in the West are not doing it. They most definitely are. In the West, where there's more emphasis on individual success, men are often socialized to prove their masculinity through dominance and conquest. Social dominance theory states that men compete for status and women oftentimes become the symbol of that status. It's nothing personal, it's systemic. That doesn't mean that it's okay though. You might think that he's just confident and ambitious and charismatic, and really he's just performing for the boys. Ask yourself, is he only with you to
brag about you with the boys on PS5 at 3 in the morning? Or does he actually like you? If you've ever been in a situation like this, which I'm guessing a lot of you have, it's okay. This is a safe space. What was the worst thing that he did? What was your final straw? What suddenly brought to light this homosociality?
Something is happening. Something is definitely happening. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this particular funnel into the alt-right that is informing how the alt-right is reacting to this moment right now. Because despite Ben Shapiro uploading this video, this was their response. And I'll do the image descriptions for this, but yeah. So Ben Shapiro uploaded this video, says the evil reactionary left cheers murder in reference to the United Healthcare CEO being gunned down in Midtown Manhattan. But then something happened. And shout out to Wild Geeters on Blue Sky for bringing this up. But these are the responses to Ben Shapiro on his own video. It says, I'm as right as they come. I have as much empathy as he had for those who lost their lives due to not receiving healthcare. Sorry, Ben, but nobody on either side feels sympathy for this man. As a longtime Ben Shapiro fan, buddy, your wealth is showing. It's not a right or left thing. And that's what encapsulates this moment the most. But let's go over some more responses. Deny, depose, defend. We don't recognize him. Benny, this is a nonpartisan issue. Please stop trying to constantly divide our country. I'm proud of this comment section. Another person writes, I don't know why you're trying to keep pushing this as a left issue. It's clearly across the board. While I don't agree with people celebrating this man's death, I don't believe this is a partisan issue like you're making it out to be. It's not the right or left. It's people who have health insurance, it goes on to say. And lastly, Ben can afford any healthcare out of pocket. Plus his wife is a physician, must be nice. And a lot of people would otherwise be flummoxed. I've even seen sentiments like this from liberals. I myself have gotten comments like, I can't believe that the alt-right wants to celebrate this. The right is so violent. That's why they voted for that man. No, this is one of the very few times when a majority of people are agreeing on the exact same thing. And it's important to understand how people get into alt-right, to understand why the left and the alt-right are reacting to the very same thing in the very same way. And it's because of this funnel right here, the health, fitness, cures, holistic, into eugenics, and then into the alt-right. While a lot of people can easily brush off why people get into the alt-right, the reality is that a lot of them did not start off with racism, sexism as their ideals, and the things that the left and liberals like to attribute to why people vote for Donald Trump. The reality is that with fear-mongering, which the right is very skilled at, they take advantage of people's fear of the healthcare system, not necessarily poor health in and of itself. This is why you're just as likely to find people in the alt-right in groups on diabetes, cerebral palsy, autism, because the system itself is so terrifying that people will find any alternative to it. That's why they get into eugenics and then into the alt-right. Not necessarily because it starts off that way in 100% of the cases. It's because they fear the very system that would allow for somebody like a Brian Thompson to deny them care over and over and over again. And in general, and this is probably a very unpopular opinion, I find it very irresponsible for people to consistently just boil down things to, well, they're part of the alt-right, they're just hateful. Because a lot of the time, people do not start off that way. A lot of times, their desire to go to the alt-right starts off with fear. And fear over being rejected as part of these systems. The issue is, though, what the alt-right does is it blames the individual and not the systems, because they want the systems to remain in place, or for those systems to get worse so that people that they don't like die, which is why our healthcare system is considered a medical apartheid. This is also the reason why I said I'm not really impressed when you cut off your MAGA family members 100% of the time, right? You share this moment. If you are not talking to them now about healthcare, and be mindful, I'm not saying berate them, argue with them, but this is the one thing you all relate on. Talk about it. But yeah, I don't want to hear that you cut off your MAGA family member now and then hear from you 2 years from now asking everybody what we're going to do. Now's the time. Now is it. Go out there. Go talk to people. Because if everybody is reacting to this moment in the same way, now is your chance. Do you hear me? Now's your chance.
I'm not gonna hold you. I'm a little sad. Actually, Big Mad, we need to have a discussion. Talk aside, I need you to focus real quick. DEI offices and initiatives are gonna continue to be rolled back and closed. That's nothing new. They never cared. These were always little tiny breadcrumbs to get people to shut up. time conservatives realize, oh, black people are not the problem, queer people are not the problem, it's going to be too late. From a sustainability standpoint, we are absolutely cooked. Speaking of sustainability and where your money goes, it's time to pull your money out of big banks. It's been that time. We've been talking about this for way too long. Drinking out of a reusable straw with a Bank of America card or a Chase Bank card is counterintuitive. They are funding climate disaster. Moving on, you are politically without a party. Follow me, I don't care what you're registered as. I'm gonna give you an example. A couple of months ago, Gavin Newsom was running around California tearing down homeless encampments. I want to remind you, our Supreme Court has criminalized being unhoused. We also have, on the East Coast, hurricane victims still begging their legislature for money because they do not have what it takes to rebuild locally. American climate refugees are popping up in real time. Does neither party really care? Parties have done their best to cultivate this situation. Situation where public institutions do not work for the public. Attack on being unhoused, the encouragement of prison labor is an attack on you. Goal is to make housing unaffordable. Goal is to stricken legality so much that individuals in prison can be paid less, even less, especially less than you, for doing labor that they can't do outside of prison. And B, to take away your bargaining power as a laborer. This book called Coerced Labor by Aaron Hatton, and you should read it. It talks about all of these coerced group of laborers, from incarcerated individuals to graduate students. The goal of a capitalist institution is to pay you less and less for your labor. Next, online censorship is going to continue to happen. This is the goal. Surveillance capitalism operates with you always feeling watched and policing yourself and or your community. And lastly, it's time to get in our books, if you're not already, and get in community, if you're not already. Virtual communities are amazing, and you need to be in in-person ones as well.
I've noticed that a lot of non-Black people have been triggered by my post. Again, me using the TikTok sound, saying, is this play about us or whatever it was catchy. It was literally trending for the longest time. I don't think it's trending anymore, but I still hear it. I thought it was catchy. That's why I used the sound. Obviously, the witch in the play and in the movie and in the book is green. The witch is not Black. It's played by a Black actress, but that character is obviously green. I understand that Wicked is not about a Black woman. Indeed, it is about a green witch. Therefore, yes, you recognize that it is about anyone who is not part of the in crowd. Yes, I am aware that the play has been around for decades, but thanks for letting me know. And I would argue to say that Black women have never been a part of the in crowd. Therefore, a lot of Black women can resonate with the film, with the book, with the musical. Let's read between the lines. And I promise I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I can't tell. And I'm honestly being honest at this point. I can't tell if comprehension is just low and people can't read between the lines, or if people are intentionally choosing to miss the point, or if it's a little bit of both. I do also just think that a lot of people are just so triggered that Black women are relating to this film and Black women are centering themselves around this film. Again, it's about a green woman. And a lot of people are saying, well, it's not about race. It's about a green woman who was getting picked on because she was green. The movie is about race. It is about racism. It may not be about racism towards Black people, but it's clearly racism against green people. Like, what are we not getting? Therefore, Black women can see themselves in Elphaba's character. Good day and good night.
You know, the same way we view prisons as just a necessary evil in our life. Like, there's no world without it. People during slavery viewed slavery as that same permanent institution. Like, people of the antebellum South could not fathom, oh, our slaves are going to be free someday? Like, they could not think of a world where the very people they deemed cattle could walk and purchase things the same way they do. They could not think of that world. And so in Angela Davis's audiobook, Are Prisons Obsolete?, she poses that same question with prisons. She says, how could people feel that they're safer in a world with prisons than in a world without? Originally, when I had approached the audiobook, I really didn't know where she was going to go with, you know, the idea of prisons being obsolete, abolition of prisons, because I really didn't know what that would look like. I couldn't think of it myself until she began to detail America's history with incarceration and economics up until our current time. And it's like, I see exactly what she's talking about. Because she spoke about just within California specifically, how for about 100 years in California, only 9 prisons were built. And then you get to Reagan's presidency and his war on drugs and being tough on crime, and now there's booms of prisons being built, privately owned at that. And this was a campaign that was pushed to Americans as like there's hella crime here and your neighborhoods aren't safe. And so that's also where you get the idea that criminality and race are now intertwined, that the black citizen is akin to that of a criminal. You get what I mean? Plant drugs in our neighborhoods and then cart us away. And Angela Davis said something that truly stopped me in my tracks. She said that if you told me 30 years ago that America would be able to cart off millions of people into prisons, I'd look at you crazy. I'd tell you that we're falling into fascism. And yet that's exactly where we are right now. 9 million people in prisons globally, and 2 million of those people are in our country. What? Like, the same way she couldn't fathom that America could worsen to the extent that the population wouldn't do anything if people were just carted off into jails, the same way we view these prisons as just natural necessities. Like she mentioned, there's no way the American people would do nothing as, people are just getting put off into jails. There would be an uproar, of course, and yet there wasn't one. Why is that? Because like I said previously, the idea of prisons is sold to us as a society as the way to keep us safe, as the only way to keep us safe. Bad people do bad things, they get put away. But the thing is, it's like, before these booms of prisons and the overflowing of these incarceration systems, there were states that were starting to establish different kinds of laws, like a 3-strike system, if you will. And while I haven't done enough research on that specifically, it does go to show that before this boom in prisons and this idea of mass sweeps of imprisonment of people, there were alternative and better ways to deal with rehabilitation and punishment and crime. And she even goes as further as to talk about the way we view crime and punishment as a lens and how they're intertwined. You always hear those words together, when in reality, a crime shouldn't be a moral wrongdoing, but something you have to realize is a social issue to fix. People never examine things enough. It shouldn't be, this man stole, he goes to jail. It's, why did he steal? Why is petty thievery met with years of imprisonment? And that's not to say that there aren't people in this world that are depraved and they're going to take advantage of those who are weak. But prisons shouldn't be the main primary method of dealing with the breaking of a lot of social laws. And especially when crime isn't that bad, at some point, the people you're putting in there shouldn't be in there at all. Like, she even mentioned how there were twice as many people with mental illnesses in prisons than there are people getting their treatment. You get what I'm trying to say? Or people with substance abuse issues, them being carted off into prisons. They shouldn't be in there. They need help. You get what I mean? Like, that's not a place for a punishment. You committed the crime of abusing drugs. You shouldn't be punished for that. You get me? And Angela Davis even brings up, the arguments towards this, that all of it's just, oh, well, you want everything to be perfect and ideal, like a utopia. And it's not that. It's the idea that these systems can come into, like, things could be better. But the way things are set up is not for things to improve, but to make money. And it's rooted in very evil systems that we kind of just let pass through our lives with no question. But that's what I took from that. I actually enjoyed reading it. And, well, not reading it, I listened to it. But you should too. And actually, since you watched me yap for 5 minutes, you should read my comic E-Kings on Webtoon and watch my YouTube channel. I don't usually have discussions like that on my YouTube. It's just art stuff. But honestly, talking about black politics and art, that's all I talk about. So you might as well just support the YouTube channel. But I'm going to let you go.
Now I got to fight again so my chair can get fixed.
I want y'all for a moment to put yourself in this young lady's shoes and think about living a life where every single time you've had to catch a flight, go through the airport, you're having to wade through anxiety and nervousness because there's a fear that the thing that you're bringing in, something that your livelihood is dependent on, there's a high chance airport staff is going to mishandle and break it, right? I can't imagine having to go through the airport and realizing my glasses are broken, my hearing aid is broken. For folk who are able-bodied, think about your phone, your MacBook, expensive technology that you're bringing in being broken and mishandled by airport staff. Things that you spent your hard-earned money on. These wheelchairs, for some of y'all may not know, can go for upwards of thousands of dollars. Who in this economy can come out of pocket for that amount of money every single time when they go to the airport? As a long-time Delta flyer, I would love to see this rectified because it's inexcusable, and it's not my first time hearing this. This is probably my 6th or 7th video this year, hearing of somebody who's using a wheelchair going through the airport, and they're coming out with a broken wheelchair. Are there not teams in place to ensure that your disabled long-time flyers are being treated correctly? Or there's proper accommodations in place? I've heard, Crutches and Spice talk about this, Imani, several times. Matter of fact, she commented on one of my mutuals videos, Shaheem, that 1 out of 3 wheelchairs are broken in Delta Airline. I cannot, man. Sometimes it takes putting yourself in somebody else's position to really just like, and I'm somebody, I hate being inconvenienced, right? Like, imagine every time you've had to go to the DMV. Or how many of y'all have gone through the airport and have had a negative experience because people just don't care to, properly make sure that you're having a good onboarding experience, and they care about your materials, your belongings. Come on now. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Y'all need to fix it.
You are absolutely right, friend. There is a black man on here who also teaches people how to cook affordable meals from the dollar store. Everybody meet Unc Thundermane. What I like about his content is that he doesn't just go to Dollar Tree, he goes to the local dollar stores in the area like Family Dollar and Dollar General. He also goes to affordable grocery stores and just gives people an array of recipes to choose from. I've seen him cook Hispanic, Mexican inspired food, Italian food, Asian stir fry, and them plates be locked and loaded every single time. I'm trying to fix me a plate. What type of sorcery is this? This food doesn't even look like it came from Dollar Tree. It looks like it came from China King, if not better. Especially love watching his $10 dinner series, and I love it when he takes us along with him to go run grocery errands at the dollar stores and whatnot. It just makes me feel like I actually know this guy. I do understand that there is a concern that Thundermane is not getting the credit that he deserves, especially since Dollar Tree dinners has been blowing up on the internet recently. I've been seeing so many news articles written about her, and Thundermane has also been online for the past few years now making content. I'm not sure who came first, but I do know that both of these content creators are doing the Lord's work once again. They're showing people how to make bomb-ass meals on a budget. So you know what? Let's celebrate both. Dollar Tree is already one step ahead and have commented underneath one of Thundermane's videos, his real name being Alanya Williams. I hope I'm pronouncing that right at least one way. Here's Unc's page so y'all can go follow him. Let's make sure we support and gas him up the same way we're doing Dollar Tree dinners. And I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving.